Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be talking about this one today.
Yeah, definitely. Today, we're putting Eicher Motors, the parent company for Royal Enfield and VE commercial vehicles, well, putting them under the microscope.
Right. And we've got quite a bit to go on. There are Q4 FY25 results questions, the investor deck from May 14th, board meeting notes, the press release.
Exactly. A good stack of material. And our mission really is to cut through the numbers and the corporate speak.
Try and figure out what's actually significant, what direction they're heading in.
Spot on. And we have to start with that big headline, don't we? Royal Enfield. For the very first time, they've sold over 1 million motorcycles in a single year.
That is a massive milestone. Really something.
It really is. Okay, so let's unpack what this record-breaking year actually signifies for Eicher overall.
Absolutely. That million sales number for Royal Enfield is, well, it's symbolic, but the financials back it up across the board. It was a very strong period.
Okay, so looking at the consolidated picture.
Yeah, highest ever annual revenue for Eicher Motors. Hit 18,870 crores. That's up 14.1% compared to last year. Solid growth.
And profitability kept pace.
It did. Their highest ever annual EBITDA, that's, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, basically operating profit hit at 4,712 crores, up 8.9%.
Okay.
And the profit after tax, PAT, also a record, 4,734 crores. That's an impressive jump of 18.3%. So not just small increases, these are significant gains, real strength showing.
And this wasn't just an annual story, right? Q4 itself was strong, too.
Very strong. Q4 FY25 also saw record revenue, 5,241 crore. That's a huge 23.1% jump year on year.
Wow.
Yeah. EBITDA for that quarter, also strong, 12,258 crore, up 11.4%. And the Q4 profit after tax, 1,362 crore, up a massive 27.3%.
Okay, so that suggests some real momentum carrying forward, doesn't it?
It really does. Points to, well, good execution and obviously strong demand for what they're selling.
Right. Let's zoom in on Royal Enfield then, beyond just that headline number. How did that million-plus sales break down?
Okay, so the precise number was 1,002,893 units. That's a 10% growth year on year overall.
And geographically, that's where it gets interesting, I thought.
Yeah, domestic sales were solid. 902,757 units, up 8.1%. Good, steady growth.
But international.
That's the standout. International sales hit 100,136 units. That's up nearly 30%, 29.7% to be exact.
That's huge. Suggests their global push is really gaining traction.
Absolutely. Well, we don't have the specific country breakdown here. That kind of growth, almost 30%, it clearly indicates they're making serious inroads somewhere overseas.
Or maybe multiple places.
Could be. It's likely a mix, new markets, better penetration in existing ones, the right products. It's a great sign for long-term stability, potentially buffering against just relying on the domestic market.
Good point. And Q4 was also a record for RE sales specifically.
Yeah, best quarter ever for Royal Enfield, 280,801 bikes sold, up 23.2% year on year for the quarter. Just solid performance.
And it's not just about volume, is it? Their brand position seems incredibly strong.
Oh, definitely. The investor presentation really highlights this. In the premium motorcycle segment, they have a 48.8% share of voice. That's massive. And 93% net sentiment. People really like the brand.
That is incredible. And then there's consideration and awareness.
Right. Number one in consideration, 82% of potential buyers are thinking about them. And top-of-mind awareness, 55%.
Oh.
Way ahead of the competition on those metrics.
That kind of brand power is, well, it's almost invaluable, isn't it?
It's a huge competitive advantage.
I did see a question came up in the Q4 results chat about competition in that premium space. They didn't detail specific strategies in these docs, but given how dominant they are, what are they likely thinking about? How do you stay on top?
That's always the challenge, isn't it? Staying number one, without their playbook in front of us, you'd assume it involves continuous product innovation, which we'll touch on with R&D later, and really nurturing that customer connection, that community.
Keeping that brand loyalty strong.
Exactly. Maybe even looking at adjacent product areas or segments, but yeah, constant vigilance. Now, Royal Enfield obviously gets the headlines, but we shouldn't forget the other side of the business.
VE commercial vehicles, right. How did VECV fare?
They also had a pretty good year. Revenue hit 23,548 crore. That's up 7.7% year on year. Healthy growth.
And profits.
EBITDA was 2,023 crore, and profit after tax came in at 1,286 crore. Also positive. And unit sales are up too. They sold 90,000 units in FY25, a 5.4% increase.
So solid growth on both sides of the house, really. Two-wheelers and commercial vehicles both moving forward.
Exactly. That diversification is a real strength for Eicher Motors overall. Helps smooth things out.
Okay, so strong performance translates into shareholder returns, presumably. Let's talk dividends.
Yes, the board recommended a final dividend for FY25.
And it was quite a bump, wasn't it? €70 per equity share.
That's right. And here's the really interesting part. That's a 34% increase compared to the 51 they paid out the previous year.
34%, that's substantial.
It is. The total payout proposed is around 1,919 crores. It's a pretty clear message about their financial health and confidence, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it definitely signals strength. Does it also maybe suggest they feel their current major capital investments are sort of set for now? Or is it just pure profit sharing?
It could be a bit of both.
Right.
I mean, the strong profits obviously make it possible. But yeah, it might also signal confidence that they can fund ongoing growth and return significant value to shareholders simultaneously, not necessarily needing massive, immediate new capital outlays.
Makes sense. Okay, beyond the headline numbers and dividends, what about the strategic direction? Where are they focusing future efforts?
Well, one interesting thing is their retail strategy, specifically around the brand experience.
Ah, yes, the second apparel store opening.
In Gurugram.
Exactly. Selling riding gear, helmets, lifestyle stuff. It feels like they're trying to build more than just a bike dealership. It's about cultivating that whole Royal Enfield lifestyle.
Deepening the brand engagement. Creating a community hub, almost. Precisely. More touch points, potentially more revenue streams, and definitely strengthening that brand loyalty we talked about.
And manufacturing capacity seems robust, too.
The investor presentation gives a sense of scale. Facilities in Thiruvadur, Oregadam, Vallam. Between Oregadam and Vallam, they list capacity for 1.2 million motorcycles per year.
So they have the capacity to meet that growing demand.
They certainly seem equipped for it. The pictures in the deck show pretty sophisticated operations.
And underpinning all this product development and production has to be R&D, right?
Absolutely critical. And they highlighted spending around 1,750 crores cumulatively on R&D just in the last 5 years.
That's a serious investment.
It is. They mentioned the Chennai Tech Center, integrated with their UK center, state-of-the-art testing, who shows a clear focus on innovation, developing the next generation of bikes, staying competitive. You need that sustained investment.
No question. And alongside R&D, there's a big push on digital, it seems, connected vehicles.
Very much so. Their connected services platform, My Eicher, for fleet management, they mentioned 145,000 customers, 350,000 vehicles already using it, lots of features.
That's quite an ecosystem.
It is. And for VECV customers, there's the VE Connected Solutions, JV, offering their own telematics IoT solutions. They're not just selling trucks and bikes, they're selling integrated digital solutions around them. The app screenshots give you a feel for it. Adds real value for the customer.
Yeah, moving beyond just the hardware, another area that really stood out was sustainability.
Yes, a strong focus there. They listed quite a few commitments.
Water positivity, zero liquid discharge, eliminating single-use plastics, more renewable energy.
Right, aiming for carbon neutrality eventually, using recyclable parts of the bikes. It feels quite comprehensive. The photo of their solar panels kind of drives it home.
And community stuff, too, like Ride for a Cause and road safety programs. It's a broader view of responsibility.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
And that's increasingly important, not just ethically, but for brand image and attracting investors, too. Consumers care more and more about this stuff.
Definitely. They also mentioned a focus on quality and service.
Yeah, this enhanced quality of checks, QOC 2.0. They mentioned bumping it up from 7 parameters to 68. That's quite a jump.
Suggests a real focus on reliability and the customer experience post-purchase.
Exactly. And aiming for best-in-class uptime and first-time right repairs, all about improving that ownership experience, building loyalty.
We should also note there were questions in the Q4 call about things like new model launches and the export outlook, maybe some management concerns. The sources we have don't give specific answers there.
True. Those remain areas to watch, definitely things investors will be keen on hearing more about down the line.
We also saw a specific investment in Royal Enfield Europe BV, about 18.66 crores in FY25, and shares issued under their ESOP, their employee stock option plan.
Right, over 350,000 shares. Little details, but they add to the picture of international expansion efforts and employee incentivization.
And finally, some key leadership changes.
Yes. Quite significant moves. Mr. Siddhartha Lal is now executive chairman. Mr. B. Govindarajan takes over as managing director. New independent directors, too, and one retirement. These leadership shifts will obviously shape the strategy going forward.
So pulling it all together then, It seems Eicher Motors had a truly standout year. Record financials, that massive Royal Enfield milestone, solid performance from VECV too.
Absolutely. And beyond just the numbers, there's a clear strategic direction focusing on, well, retail and brand experience, R&D, digital, sustainability, and rewarding shareholders.
It paints a picture of a company that's not just performing well now, but is actively building for future growth and maybe evolution.
I think that's fair. Strong momentum, clear priorities, it sets up an interesting future. Which does lead to a final thought for you, the listener.
Go on.
Well, given this landmark year, the million bikes, the strategic pushes we've discussed, what could be next? What new frontiers might Eicher realistically explore? Think about product categories or deeper dives into global markets. Where could they go?
Hmm. And maybe also, how will that increasing focus on sustainability and digital tech actually change the bikes themselves and, the whole experience of being an Eicher customer in the years ahead? Something to chew on.